Shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai being the true name of the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly and foolishly calls God, and Jesus, Baharakakwadash, and the Holy Spirit, which we do these lessons, these digital epistles, according to biblical prophecy, which would be in the last days, and we are in the last days indeed. All right, in the season of the return of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, the Messiah, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, for the salvation of the biblical Israelites, the true nationality of the biblical Israelites, which are you so-called Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigner Gentiles that might look like the heathen. Double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles and all the elder bishops that teach this truth. We are the prophets. Okay, we believe that according to faith and according to the Spirit. All right, as well as the rest of the hopeful holy elect. And this topic will be dealing with marriage. And I didn't prep this. So, sometimes I like to keep, things, kind of like as you go, keep some of that, not interest. All right. But, the Spirit kind of guides you. And then sometimes you be more into it when it's a new topic. So, but I thought of, to put in the search bar, Google, what would a dystopian relationships look like in a dystopian society? Okay, so let's get straight to it. All right, because there's a narrative in the earth full of confusion that, if you're not married, then you got the liberty to do what the hell you want for you women, right? You get on these social media platforms and that breeds confusion. Oh, I'm not married, girl, so I'm free to step away. Or he didn't put a ring on it. You women know instinctively, but the narrative that the wicked, all right, the Edomites, the so-called white man is giving you about marriages through the state, a wedding ring, get down on one knee. Those are all pagan rituals, okay, which have nothing to do with, what marriage actually is. Okay, there's a spiritual marriage, okay, which marriage means to be joined, okay, through the act of sex, Then there's, the spiritual part of it is that you become one, you become together after sex, and then you become one in thinking, okay, you build together, you know what I'm saying, and then you adopt each other, the yin and the yang, all right, you help build, build a family and stuff like that. Because not all the time, because you have sex, you become joined in spirit with one. Okay. But then you have the ceremonial. In the ancient world, the ceremonial was to prove that the woman, hadn't been with another man before and I'm speaking, ancient, the correct customs, Hebrew customs, the Israelite customs, which are the people of God. Okay. And the Most High is the author of all that we see. Okay, so we got to go by his ways, all right? Not the heathenistic formula that traditions of men, okay? The ceremony where, the white, the bed chambers after the ceremony, the two parties would have sex on white sheets, okay? And then, of course, if the woman had never been popped, then there would be blood. So that would prove to the father that, okay, my daughter, her value was sustained. She didn't play the harlot. She didn't play the whore. Okay, because that was punishable by death. Okay, it was a shame unto the family, unto the men of the family, the brethren, the uncles, the father, because women had value off the strength. Okay, a woman in ancient custom was valuable. She could be, you would have to pay the father a dowry to get that woman. All right, which would cease for any confusion, all this random sex and hookups. Okay, in ancient customs, man, it didn't work like that. Okay, because if you messed around and slept with a man's daughter, okay, then you'd have to marry her and pay him a dowry. Okay, and if a man had many, daughters, he could come up, but she was supposed to be given to a man of wisdom, a righteous man. Okay, and then that man couldn't divorce her. Otherwise, there would be all kind of judgments against him. He'd get messed up by people in the village. Okay, so there was accountability Okay, because marriage was all about nation building. Okay, tribes and nation buildings and legacies. Now it's just random hookups, and see you women run with the narrative of I'm single, okay, because I ain't married. Well, you ain't put a ring on my finger. That's only one part of marriage. That's ceremonial. What about the spiritual aspect? You know, you know, the rod and the vagina coming together, and it's already scientifically proven that spirits are exchanged and DNA is exchanged. And that's why you women are batshit crazy. You meet a woman and she has all these different personalities switching up within 5 minutes. Okay. All of those Pookie and Ray Ray she done been with, you see, it's coming out. So so marriage is a very important thing. And, you know, oftentimes I'll jump in these comment boards and say that sex is marriage. You know, because when you go into Jacob, when he had to work 7 years to get his wife, you know, his uncle Laban had some daughters in Jacob. You know, Jacob wanted a wife. Abraham needed a wife. Okay, when they finally got to their so-called wife, right? What did it say? And he knew. Okay, and he went into her, or he knew her. They went in the tent, and then Jacob knew his wife, or, you know, over and over again, from King David to Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. And he knew his wife, and he went into her. That's why the scriptures say a man shall leave his mother and father and go and get him a wife, you know, and have sex with her. Okay, so let's start this. Let's read a little bit of this, and hopefully we can make sense of this. Okay, just like there's a marriage between the elect, the chosen, and the Most High. When the Most High Yahweh sends his son, there's going to be a marriage. A joining together. Okay, coming back, a joining together. We're going to be joined with the Lord. All right, these souls that are here on the earth contending, okay, for the faith today. The Lord actually gave a parable about that. Okay, the 10 wise the wise virgins and the unwise virgins, you know, and they were going on a trip to meet the bridegroom, spiritually speaking. All right. And, you know, and it speaks of them having oil, which is this truth, enduring this truth, you know. But in dystopian and look up some of these words yourself. You know, we have to compact these lessons. You know, we can't just stop at every single thing. In dystopian societies, relationships are often warped or suppressed, serving the state's control rather than individual needs and desires, with love and romance sometimes portrayed as dangerous or a distraction from societal goals. Is that not what's going on? You know, if that's not what's going on, okay, serving the state rather than the individual needs and desires. And the individual needs and desires is that a man and a woman come together, have children, okay, learn one another. The woman is supposed to, you know, follow the man, okay, this, you know, serve the man as a help, okay, and vice versa. Okay, he fulfills her needs and she fulfills his needs. But this whole society has been built, okay, the turning upside downs of things, okay, is totally adverse to the ways of the scriptures. So men and women, you know, you got the feminist thing. And if you go into the history of that, okay, women were forced to work now because daddy government. So the state, you know, has gotten involved. You got to go and get a marriage license, you know, and then you get divorced. Now you're binded under these contracts, these wicked, evil, satanic contracts where the so-called white man system, the beast, okay, can get up in your business and tell you how it goes, who gets the kids and all of that. And the kids are supposed to go to the father and all the possessions. The woman is supposed to leave with nothing. Okay. And that would cease all of the confusion of these women because, okay, women are not supposed to have liberty. Okay. And I'm not talking about no, you know, wicked prison type mindset. Okay. But we're going to get those scriptures. Matter of fact, let me hold it. Give not, okay. I forget how it says it. To get abroad, give not a woman liberty. Salakia. Okay. Let me just hold that. Bertie. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Okay, let me hold that. Let me go back. And see, with daddy government, with the so-called white man, all up in your business. Okay, he's literally hypnotized these women and enchanted these women through his witchcraft, through the TV, through the radio, through the movies, waiting to excel. I can do bad all by myself. All these different, and those are spirits. Those are, invoking spirits upon the woman. These enchantments to be against their natural order. Okay, feminism. And now what do you have? Now you have a bunch of unruly, I ain't bound to this man because I ain't married to him, but you're having sex with everybody though. Okay, because if you were obliged under the guides of sex is marriage, you couldn't do that. Okay. And now you see people women and men full of insanity because we have a adulterous and wicked generation. Everybody's sleeping around. Okay, a man is built different. A man is built to have many wives and populate his seed. A woman can carry the seed, an incubator for the seed. You see, so she's built different. She's not meant to sleep around and be a baby mama to 60 different niggas, man. Okay. All right. Control, it says, in the dystopian societies, relationships are often warped or suppressed. Yeah, relationships are suppressed, serving the state's control rather than the individual needs and desires. And this is why you people don't have nothing. You're being controlled by the powers that be. Okay. With love and romance sometimes portrayed as dangerous. Yeah. Nobody is about sincere, just in it. Like back in the day, it's something about her. It's something about him. Okay. I just love to be around, with the technology of cell phones and social media. Okay. Before that, you had to be at the house to receive a call. You know what I'm saying? You had to wait for a person to call you all day. You didn't have access to so many different preferences. Okay. So you were more satisfied. You enjoyed conversations, on the phone with an individual, It says, or distraction from societal goals. Here's a deeper look at how relationships are depicted in dystopian literature. Suppression and control, number one. Okay. Abolition of relationships. Okay. Abolition. So doing away with relationships. Some dystopian societies aim to eliminate relationships altogether, focusing citizens' energies on loyalty to the ruling power. You see? So you people, you run around with free, the home of the free and the brave or whatever. But this is all a psyop. Like we keep telling you, it's all mind control, okay, to further enslave you. You're in hardcore slavery. And the worst part about it is that you don't even know it. Okay, you're aiding to your destruction. And it shows you why these women you're not smart. You women are not smart without a man of wisdom. And see, you're serving a foolish man, the so-called white man, because as we always say, starting with our elders, women not even necessarily go after men with money, okay, but rather power, okay? And see, you see that in all aspects. You might have a dude that's the top choreographer of this dance studio. All the women, they want to be, under him. You got the churches, the pastor. He holds the power within the church. All the women want the pastor. You got the billionaire. Okay, all the women want the billionaire. You got the CEO of the company. All the women want the CEO. You got the top trainer, the boss at the 24-hour fitness. All the women, it's about power. So who's in the power seat? As it says in Job 9:24, the earth was given into the hands of the wicked. The Most High has placed the wicked in authority, all right, for the sake of prophecy. Okay. Okay, because the Most High is going to send his son to get his glory by taking down the wicked. Okay, so these are the things we would see before the day of the Lord, and we are in that season. Okay. Okay. Some dystopian societies aim to eliminate relationships altogether, focusing citizens' energies on loyalty to the ruling power. Okay. So they want you to get out here and pay taxes, which all of that, it doesn't matter. All that, the money system is all rigged. It's fake money. What they really want is your soul, your energy, harvest your energy, because they've taken you people's soul. Okay. You're totally confused and you're totally, by default, you worship these people's ideologies, man. Okay. The serpent. Okay. You worship his ideology, and in turn, you've been bitten. All right. And it's a very venomous ideologies and philosophies, man. Deuteronomy 32 goes into that. Okay. Hence, you believe in the money system, you believe in this place, and you get out here, you go to work to keep the system thriving so that there can be a pyramid dynamic. Okay. You got the bottom class, you got the middle class, which they're doing away with the middle class. And then you got the people at the top. It's not about money. It's about the harvesting of your energy, and it's about power. Somebody has to reap the benefit and capitalize, right? Where it's the elite. Throughout all these lobbyist groups, okay, they put all these fake people in front of you, okay, the senators, your presidents, you know, these policies, these laws, and then they promote them as, in God we trust, as righteous, to benefit who? The woman, which is the weaker vessel, which is going to buy into all of that. In return, the woman is going to go after that. She's going to seek that power given to her from the damn devil, man. Okay, loyalty to the ruling power, see? Hence is why they push the LGBTQRZ so much. That's even better. You destroy nations, you destroy minds, you destroy souls, and you definitely don't get proper marriage and understanding. You get complete confusion. Okay? Because they don't want people in a sound, holistic mind. All right? Because people thrive and nations thrive and they leave, okay, legacies into their children. Okay, these people want it all, as it speaks about in the book of Obadiah. Okay? As grape gatherers, wouldn't, even if a man, when you go into the book of Obadiah, it speaks about even if one robbed a house and spoiled a house or gathered grapes, wouldn't they leave something behind? Okay. Well, in that scripture, it speaks about how the so-called white man, the Edomite, he won't even leave nothing behind. Okay. He wants it all, man. He wants it all to himself. Marriage as a duty. Relationships, especially marriage, may be viewed as a means to fulfill a duty to the state rather than a matter of personal choice or connection. See? So what we're starting to see, that you people's definition of what marriage is has nothing to do with what it actually is. Okay. You have something called universal laws, or the laws of physics, where, okay, what goes up must come down. The process of how, plants grow and take in sunlight and give out oxygen and just many different things. You look at the animal kingdom, there's an innate program that the Most High programmed in his creation how to function. All right. And through this man's pseudoscience, science falsely so called, as it says in Timothy's, okay, false science. Okay, this man is able to control you. Pseudo meaning false. Okay, pseudoscience. Through his theories that he makes facts. Okay. It says, and now you stray away. Now, there is no foundation anymore. All the foundations are uprooted of righteousness, as it says in Psalms, Okay. But the Lord has left a remnant according to election chosen. And then, you get all of these guys and women on social media talking about they're chosen, and they don't even have the fundamentals of what the Most High said to do. How are you chosen and you don't even have the ordinances, the basics, okay, of what's expected from the Most High in a time where, okay, the day of the Lord is at hand and he's angry and he's getting ready to destroy, okay, all things and bring new things for his chosen. You see? Marriage is duty. Relationships, especially marriage, may be viewed as a means to fulfill a duty to the state rather than a matter of personal choice or connection. Yeah. Okay. Because the state wants the woman to have full control of the children, indoctrinate the children with the same venom of the serpent. Right. And this will be what do you call it? I forget. It's like a prelude to actual, because I might not be able to go into certain things right now. It's like a topical lesson. I forget the word right now. Indoctrinate the children. Hence, now you have a whole movement of men going their own way because men, it's unbearable. You can't deal. If you deal with the average woman, it'll destroy everything you've built. Okay. Or to the point that you've gotten yourself to, or the work that you've put in, it'll destroy it. Don't even talk about having children, man. Okay, because the relationship market is one-sided. And somehow people can't seem to get, I was just watching this movie, this show on Netflix last night called Stalkers. And you got people that's locked up, and it dawned on me. I was watching it. All the men that they portray to be stalkers in this one show, demonizing the hell out of them. When you go into the story, these women had got hooked up with these men and then just changed their minds and want to go their own way. Okay, well, that was marriage. And the dude, he's sitting there like, hold on, how you just going to deceive me like that? Hell no, I'm about to show up at your job. Hell no, I'm going to show up at the crib. I'm going to take you out of here. Well, that's righteous according to the law of the Most High. Okay, you became joined, in marriage. All right. But there's no standard in this society, the woman just get up and take off. Okay, that's wicked. That's wickedness. And see, if there was a standard, in a judgment, and they were held to a standard, then guess what? People would think twice before doing those things. You wouldn't have random hookups and children that, just come on the earth and with single parent households. But see, this society promotes that. I forget what I was going to say. All right. Erotic love as a threat. In some dystopian societies, erotic love is seen as a dangerous force that can undermine the state's control, leading to its suppression or manipulation. See? Yeah, back in the day, R&B, man, I used to get hella girls off R&B, because back in the the 90s, 2000s, you had Jake that was running the R&B charts up. So a lot of these women will look at you like, oh, that's the closest I'm gonna get to Jagged Edge. Got all kind of women talking about love and stuff like that. Now the women are singing Glorilla and rapping and listening to rap. Women don't even listen to R&B no more. If you listen to that, they look at you like you soft. Now they talking about shooting niggas and jumping from pole to pole and running off with the niggas, hooking up with them and stealing his shit and, And where's all of these, who's funding this? Okay, the small hats, the so-called white man, who is lying to the world that he's actually us. He's stolen our nationality and saying that he's the people of God. Meanwhile, he promotes nothing of God, man. Okay. Examples of dystopian literature, 1984 by George Orwell. In Orwell's novel, the party attempts to suppress erotic love and focus citizens on their duty to the state, with marriages and sexual activity strictly controlled. All right. And this is why so many men go to jail, because they try to get their house in order. And there's laws that say, okay, you can't be yelling at that woman. You can't put your hands on that woman. Hey, well, most of these women need hands put on them. Just like children need hands put on them. Okay, I'm not talking about beating someone and to the death or whatever, but the scriptures say don't spoil the rod. Don't spare the rod, otherwise you spoil the child. And when something is spoiled, it's destroyed. And women are children, unless they are, led by a man of wisdom. Because the wisdom you women have now is that of the serpent. And it's very venomous, okay? And though it took a while to kick in, okay, that venom, okay, now we're starting to see the fruits of it. And men are waking up via the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, the voice of the prophets, man, the voice of the Lord. Okay, so let's look up the word marriage. And a lot of these words, man, Esau, the so-called white man, he plays around with these definitions. So it's hard to find a definite, a lot of times. The English word for marriage originates from the Old French mariage, which in turn comes from the Latin maritatis, meaning married, ultimately derived from meriter, meaning to wed or to give in marriage. Okay, let's see. The word husband means a planter. Okay, what does a man plant? His seed. Okay, which are spirits. Okay, which determine the nation, the nationality of the child. So there is no mixed. Okay, according to the Bible, according to universal law, there is no mixed. You are who your father is, no matter how the outer shell looks, because the woman is the incubator. So you're going to take on, okay, certain genetics from that woman. Okay, but that spirit, okay, is in the man, which comes from the heavens, the fourth dimension. That's why the sperm is already quickened. And pretty much the sperm, when you look at a sperm, there's a head and there's a vertebrae. Okay. It says related words. The word matrimony also shares a similar etymological path originating from the Latin matrimonium, which means wedlock or marriage. Because see, you people, the Christian church, which is a complete disaster. Okay. It's pseudo. Okay. The scriptures ain't dealing with Christianity. The Most High not dealing with Christianity, and contrary to what you believe. Okay. It's they speak about, shacking up or having children before wedlock. Okay. It makes no sense. And you get podcasters, all you see on social media is everybody speaking about this, and they don't even have a fundamental or foundation to stand on. They're just quoting the same garbage. Oh, well, you had children out of wedlock. That don't make sense, because when the man and woman came together, they had children. They technically were married unto each other. Okay, now they didn't have an agreement. They didn't have a spiritual agreement because of their conduct or their behavior or their lack of knowledge. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, So there's a spiritual aspect to being joined together, and then there's a physical. All right, which the spiritual, okay, aspect of this thing, you people, the scriptures speak about, the earth, or the people of the earth, lieth in great darkness. Okay, but we are not of the dark, but are of the light. Okay, and this truth is the light. Okay, and that darkness doesn't allow you to have a spiritual understanding. Okay, you don't have if you don't have the breath which is given from the Most High, because he doesn't want everybody. He doesn't want everybody to get this truth, because he's not going to save everybody. So count yourself lost if you don't have this truth. Otherwise, you better get this truth. It says, and these guys, they don't bring this out. If you're going to say you chosen, you gotta go throughout the scriptures and contend for the faith. Okay, you got to rebuke. The scriptures talk about open rebuke is better than secret love. How you got to contend for the faith. But see, you get guys that say, oh, them guys over there, the GMS or the prophets, they wouldn't be talking about nobody. Well, how are you going to contend? How are you going to lift up a standard? How are you going to lift up a banner among the people? How are you going to correct? Okay, how are you going to be baptized without the washing of the word? Okay. You get these prostitutes, they go to church and get dunked in some water and come back up and just continue another 20 years of prostitution. That's not, no. A lack of understanding. You have to be washed by the word, and you have to be taught from one who is sent. Okay, not one who is self-proclaimed. Romans the 10th chapter, So let's marriage. Let's get a better understanding, hopefully. Okay. Marriage. Let's go right here. Okay. Action of entering into wedlock. Also the state or condition of being husband and wife, matrimony, wedlock. Also a union, meaning one of a man and woman for life by marriage. Now you did have something called a concubine, which the Israelite man could have as many women as he wanted, as long as he could fulfill their duties of a wife. Okay. And a wife, okay, was determined, as a woman of marriageable age. Okay. Like a maid, a young woman who hit puberty and now can have children. Okay. And we don't promote today you going and getting a young woman, 14, 13. No. The times are different. In the ancient world, women were groomed to be wives at an early age. Sons were groomed. A boy You know, he had something at 12. He was, you know, they would have a celebration for him because he would become a man. He was groomed to be a man, not groomed to sit on the couch and play games and eat Fruity Loops and watch cartoons. Okay, so that you could get started at a young age. By the time you 30, hey man, you already tapping into wisdom. Okay, now, you know, men are just now starting to tap into wisdom at 40. They act like children all the way up through their 30s, you know, through their 20s. They're still considered kids and shit. No, you're a grown ass man once you start that. Okay, once you can produce children. Okay, a union of a man and woman for life by marriage, a particular matrimonial union. Okay, I want to look up this word, wedlock. Let's see. The state of being married. See, they won't, you know, give you the exact definition, but a union. Okay, joined. You could just say join. Let's see what matrimony. See the definition. The state or ceremony of being married. The sacred sacrament of holy matrimony. Okay. The word holy means separate, set apart, perfect, clean, power. Okay. A marriage is supposed to be something between you and that man and set aside, set apart from your friends, your mama and them. I mean, nothing is discreet. You get into a marriage, everybody's in your business. The woman is telling all your business. Okay, she's getting advice from all of these single or these hating ass, envious, wicked women around her. Okay. Girl, how much did that ring cost? He only paid that. Oh, girl, you need to leave him. You know, matrimonial. Let's look up that. Okay, we got that. All right, so let's go to the next. What is I'm looking for? Yeah. So Salaki. All right. So let me get a scripture real quick. Let me get Leviticus 21. All right. This is a very simple, which proves that you people don't want, all right, the way the Most High set things up, man. You don't want it because it's not hard to understand. Because when the truth come out, then you run from it. You know how many comment boards I've been on? And it's never failed. People act like they don't even hear you. Because you know how people respond to comments. And I be going back checking them. Nobody wants to buy into the concrete holiness of, okay, marriage, of what it actually means, because it doesn't profit. Okay, because for the men, you know, you men, you want to sleep around with other men's women. Okay, you know this guy is laying down with this woman. You still want to come behind and swap spit. That's HOMO, bro. You women, okay, you want this worldly. That's why the Lord said they worship me after the traditions of men. Okay, because the child support court benefits you. The divorce court benefits you. Society benefits you in this worldly traditional, understanding of what marriage is. Okay, so you don't want the truth about it because everybody would have to be in order. And as it says in Isaiah the 24th chapter, everything's out of course because the ordinances of the Most High are not being kept. Okay, and you people are being directly affected by, okay, the course of what's supposed to be. Okay, you're being directly affected because everything is off, and then you're complaining about the high rent, okay, toxic food, bad relationships, not having no money, not being able to own, you know, all of these things are because, right, everything is out of course. You know, not having sufficient of what you need, all right, to be able to leave a legacy. You're complaining about that, but it's because you don't want, okay, thus saith the Lord, man. The Lord said that he came to give men life more abundantly. The earth started off as a paradise. Okay, but then here you got men, okay, come with all their stipulations and rebellion. And now look at what you have, a dystopian society, man, where you're under the authority and you learn, and everything you learn comes from someone that hates you and that's trying to destroy you, man. Okay, your whole doctrine is venomous, man. All right. This is Leviticus 21:7. And this is supposed to be the Israelites, which the word Israelite, Yasha'alite, which means princes of power, starting with the men. The men are the head, okay, and the women are subjects to the men. All right. And I'm gonna say right now, this speaks more to the elect, because we know, according to the scriptures, 2/3 of our people would be corrupted by the serpent. They would be corrupted by this world. So there's only a remnant or elect that the Most High has reserved unto himself to get it. Okay, but technically, the Most High created our whole nation as kings and priests, and it's going to go back to that in the kingdom that's going to be here on the earth. Okay, kings and priests. So this is the way it's supposed to be. This is Leviticus 21:7. Okay. All right. They shall not take a wife that is a whore or profane. Profane means against the temple, meaning the scriptures. Neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband, for he is holy unto his God or his power. So you're not supposed to take a wife that sleeps around, man. That's a whore, or against the Most High. And all of these women are Satanists by default. Okay, because who are they going after? The man that's in power, the one that has the power of the pen, the one that is issuing out the paychecks, whose face is on the dollar. Okay, and these devils know what they're doing. Okay, that's why the word devil means deceiver. It says, neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband. All right. So if a man is dealing with his woman and she's not acting right, he puts her away. You ain't supposed to come and get up in her. OK, because the scriptures speak about if a man and a woman, departs for a while, then they supposed to be discreet and work on themselves. And, and whatever it is, you might need a little break. OK, then they're supposed to come back together. OK. But here it is, you got a dude just waiting to pounce on it. Okay, how they going to get back together after that? You see? Now Moses, the Most High, allowed for an issue of a divorce, which it was never supposed to be. But because of the hardness of the heart of men. Okay, just imagine if you're totally rebelling against, you got a husband or a wife that's totally in rebellion. Okay, what good would it be if they stay together? Somebody probably going to die. So the Lord just said, all right, well, do it this way. Okay, if the woman doesn't want to, follow or listen to the man, or she steps out with another man, then he's under the law. He can put her away. Okay, then she can go find another, which is still wicked. Okay, because in this society, even you women that know you in the truth, that's what you move on. Oh, well, he said he done with me. So that's wicked. You can't play the Most High. Okay, you're an adulterer. And you're going to get judged for that, man. Okay. It says, for he is holy. Okay. Let's skip down to 9. And the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaneth her father. She shall be burnt with fire. That's why in some of those Eastern countries, man, they delete women that, bring shame to their father's house. And see, in a lot of those customs and in ancient customs, the father would do the picking of who the daughter, as she's being raised up. He would already be scouting of a nice young man in a good family that can marry his daughter, and then those two families could come together and build and help one another and build a bigger dynasty. You see, not just some random hookups of Pookies and Ray Rays. Now two families are clashing, shootouts, and nobody likes one another. They gossiping, and just look at how these women pick, man. They just go out and just develop all of these preferences because they just deal. You know what? I want a tall guy. You know what? I want a light-skinned guy. You know what? I want a short guy. I want a buff guy. I want a fat guy with a beer belly. You know what? I want a guy that look like Chris Brown. I want a guy that's, and then by the time she's ready to settle down, she's got so many preferences. She can't be with one guy. Okay. That's why the Most High has order. That's why there's order. Okay. Now the market is destroyed. Okay. That's not the way you were designed. Okay. Men can, these bitch ass men now, but men can shake it, can go from relationship to relationship, and technically they're supposed to keep these wives that they're with. All right, but we can shake off those vibrations and start anew. You know, you women, you hold on to the different, spirits and attributes of these different men you've been with. Okay, and that's why you see the black women acting like Pookie and Ray Ray, thugging and tattoos on their face and shit, because that's who they're sleeping with. Okay, you could tell a lot about a woman by the type of guy she deals with, and then you get those women who are all, they deal with those business entrepreneurial men, and look at their personality. Okay, but now the whole world is damn ghetto. All right, the so-called black woman has become the blueprint for degeneracy, and that's who the serpent is using, Eve. Okay, to paint this picture. Okay, as to follow the goddamn Eve, and now everybody's acting like Eve. The damn homosexual man is acting like Eve, man. Okay. So, the men of the Lord, technically, we're not supposed to be, that's why, you're grown in the spirit, because you don't want none of these motherfuckers. It's like biting off of a goddamn, burger that's being passed around in a circle. That shit's nasty. Okay, you got the nigga eating hot Cheetos, and then he takes a bite of the burger, and then it pass it to you. Now you got to bite off of that hot Cheeto debris that's on the edge of the burger with all that saliva. That's fucking nasty, man. Okay, that's what you fucking women are now. You're just a fucking, you pass around. Okay. 13, and he shall take a wife in her virginity. Okay, batwala is the Hebrew word, which really means a girl of marriageable age. All right, which is when she starts her virginity, and technically she's not supposed to have been ran up in. Okay, there at that age, 12, 13, 14, she should be pure. Okay. A virgin. A virgin doesn't necessarily mean a woman that hasn't been touched. It really means a woman of marriageable age. When she starts her, and they practice this in a lot of customs still. She's able to have children. Okay, that makes her a woman. Now she can serve a man. And see, in ancient times, when they were young, just because she got married off to a certain husband, if she wasn't mentally there to be a wife yet, okay, that man wouldn't go into her. He would give her time to grow, meaning he would be a spouse to her. She would be a spouse to him, kind of like what they call today. I forget what they call it before, you get married. Maybe she was, he'll let her grow up a little bit, like Mary, who you ignorantly call, Mary and Joseph, which the angel didn't have sex with Mary. Okay. Joseph had sex with Mary. That's why, where's that in Luke or Matthew? It gives you the whole genealogy pool all the way back to David, tracing the Lord's line from his father, Joseph. Okay. All the way back to it speaks about that in Isaiah 11, Jesse, the root of Jesse, because Yahweh Shai, who the world only calls Jesus Christ, is of the lineage. Jesse was King David's father, tying him all the way back to King David's father. So Joseph and Mary had sex, but he was older than her. All right. And they didn't do the ceremonial part in front of the family to prove that she was still a virgin, so that they would have got a judgment. OK, because it could have been said that Mary was playing a harlot, sleeping around. So when you go into the scriptures and they say Joseph put her away, it means that he hid her. He hid her for a while. They didn't tell nobody. OK, because he was getting in her, and she was younger. She was more than likely 13, 14. She was young. OK. And he was older, and they was having sex already. And see, that whole ceremonial part of the marriage was there to once you know her or she becomes yours, like Jacob, he knew Rachel. He wanted, what's her name? He wanted Leah. I think he wanted Rachel, but he got Leah first. They were sisters. He went onto Leah. She became his wife. And then later he had to work another 7 years. Then he got Rachel. Okay. He went into both of them. Then he had concubines, other women that he had, you have 12 sons. Okay. Out of those 4 women, you got the 12 tribes of Israel. And a concubine is a wife in the sense that she's your possession, because a wife is he that begetteth the wife, begetteth the possession. But spiritually and mentally, she doesn't have the same, okay, she doesn't hold the same weight as, okay, Israelite woman, because a concubine was a woman who was of another nation when you're dealing with the Israelites, okay? Because it speaks about that in when you go into the Chronicles of King David, when his house was going through turmoil, his son, I forget his son's name, was it Abishai? All right, he wanted to take, not Abishai, I forget his name right now. He wanted to take his father's seat as king, and he went and slept with King David's concubines, which were his wives as well. Okay, so a concubine doesn't hold the same value as your wife, being of course, being a Israelite woman, but that's still your possession. Okay. It says, and he shall take a wife in her virginity, a widow or a divorced woman, okay, or profane or an harlot, these shall he not take, but he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife. A widow, if your husband dies by the law, technically you can marry again. This is speaking about the priests, and we're a nation of kings and priests. Now, this is where grace comes in, that these Christians don't understand. This is where the most Yahweh Shai, if you believe in Yahweh Shai, gives you through his blood, okay, wiggle room, okay, and mercy, okay, to deal. All right, stuff like this. It don't mean you can do whatever the hell you want. Okay, you might meet a woman whose husband, her dude passed away, so now you can, all right, you can deal with her. You can become her husband. But if he's alive, okay, that's why this whole baby daddy thing is terrible, man, because if the man is alive, here it is, you starting a new relationship and the dude lived 2 miles away and you taking care of his children. That's off. That's confusion. Okay, which embolden these women to keep doing the same thing and being wicked as hell, man. Oh, you know what? I don't like the way he talked to me. I'm gonna just move on to the next nigga. Okay, and that's praised in this society, man. Neither shall he profane his seed among his people. You're profaning your seed when you give, when you all out of order, man. For I, the Lord, do sanctify him. That's why all of these, you got the YNs and all this crash out culture and LGBTQRZ behavior, and these kids are bugged out because the seed is being profaned because of the doctrine. What you're learning is adverse to what it is, okay? All right, which the name Yahweh means he is. What is, okay, you don't even adhere to that. You coming in another way. Let's get I'm gonna get Ephesians. Where is that? Ephesians. Let me see this, man. So here it is. The people of the Most High are so off course because of their allegiance to the serpent, the black woman, and we, our nation now is a matriarch. It's not a patriarch, and you have men that actually, okay, forward this ideology as well. Israelite men. And that's why the Most High is getting ready to judge 2/3 and burn this place, man. There is no more talking. It has to be destroyed because nobody wants to adhere to what is and what it's supposed to be. You want to continue in this confusion, and it's destructive. All right. So let's get this. This is Ephesians 5:21. Submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of Yahweh. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husband as unto the Lord. Unto your own husband. Not be all in everybody else's business and what they doing over there. Okay? Learning from other men and all that madness. For the husband is the head of the wife. You see? Even as Yahweh Shai is the head of the church. And he is the savior of the body. You see? Therefore, as the church is subject unto Yahweh Shai, or Christ, which just means anointed, that ain't the name of the Lord, so let the wives be, okay, to their own husbands and everything. You see? But see, these women, they'll go to church and be submitted unto the pastor instead of thus saith the Lord, okay, and bypass their husband. You praying against their husband. Hey, your husband has the authority to disannul your prayers. Your husband is your power, your God, because that's what the word God means. That's a title. That's not the Most High's name. Okay. And it's so wicked out here that, you do have elect women. Okay. If you don't have a husband or your husband is wicked or whatever, hey, the Most High is going to justify you eventually. But you're supposed to do thus saith the Lord. You're supposed to, the scriptures say, if you have an unbelieving husband or unbelieving wife, you're still supposed to deal if they want to deal, but you're not bound by them. If they want to go, let them go. Okay, because you yourself can sanctify or consecrate that house. They could be saved through you if they're decent. They don't have to necessarily know the truth, but if they're doing right by you, okay, they're in order to some extent. They can learn. They can be taught. That's cool, But if they want to rebel, they want to go out, let them go. Okay. It says, husbands, love your wives, even as Yahushua also loved the church and gave, himself for it. So there's a duty for the men too. You're supposed to, and there's a level of understanding. We're in captivity. We're in the beast system. We're not in the kingdom. So both parties are supposed to understand. Okay, look, we're gonna build towards something. You get a job, I'll get a job. I'll help you. You hold down the house and the kids, but then I'll help you too. You ain't got to wash dishes every night. I'll wash them sometime, whatever that is, man. You come with those stipulations, but it's all about building. But you have a culture where they're saying no 50-50. So you rather pay 100% in a dying pre-societal collapse. Okay. Inflation. Okay. Rather than 50-50, you could put one person makes 40,000, the other person makes 30,000, right? So you can put that together. Y'all making damn near 100,000. Y'all can do some things. Okay. That's degeneracy. But these women uphold that because they rather have their fun. Okay. They, the liberty to, open their mouth to every arrow without having to hear it. Okay. Unless you coming in, and paying all the bills, then they might take a break from that. Okay. For a couple of years, then they'll go back out into the streets. You see? And that's because of the way, they've been groomed. And it's hard to break that cycle unless, the Most High, has mercy upon you and calls you and gives you the Holy Spirit to understanding. And then you fight the good fight of faith from there on. And you have to endure that until the end and make a total U-turn and be born again and change and be taught correctly this time. All right. Okay, that he might sanctify and cleanse it. He's talking about the church, which is the body, the elect members. Cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word. So that's the true baptizing, the washing of the word. How we're breaking down this lesson. Now you get an understanding. Okay. Okay, 28. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. So if you love your wife, you ain't supposed to pimp her out, prostitute her, just use her. Okay, you're supposed to be teaching her. You're supposed to be, getting up, going to work. Okay, you're supposed to be serving the Lord, man. All right, and you all right, and it really ain't about the tangible things. It's really about being in the spirit. Because in all actuality, really, if whoever hit rock bottom, y'all should still be able to deal. Okay, if the man loses his job, the wife's supposed to pick up the slack. Where's that? Let's get that Proverbs. Let's get that. But let me read this. This is 31. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and shall be joined unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning, Yahushua and the church. See? So it's like a mystery because it's a very sanctified union. It's a beautiful thing. The scriptures say that there's nothing better than for a man and a woman to dwell together in peace, man. Okay, the Heavenly Father delights in that, but we're not in those times. And it can be that way. Okay, but there's going to be trouble in the flesh because, both parties have to be, really serve the Lord for that thing to last because we're in captivity. Okay, may not be in the best of circumstances, and both parties have to have that understanding. But let's get that Proverbs 31 woman, and then we're gonna wrap it up because this is going too long. I always make these long lessons. This is Proverbs 31 and 10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Look up the word virtuous. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. You see, and you can't trust in these women. Where does it say in the scriptures that a man that doesn't have a wife shall go to and fro throughout the city in mourning? All right. And that's what you have. You have a bunch of men. I feel bad for these younger men coming up, because you're starting to see that. You see these young men, these young Jakes. They don't even have, they call them girlfriends or whatever. And even if they do, they're being played, after a week of getting with them, they get dumped. Nigga in his room crying. He's depressed. You see these older men that are up in age 50s and 60s that actually need a helpmeet. They living by themselves. Okay, that's sad and that's wicked. These women are destroyed and they don't know it. Okay, because they're living in pleasure. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. Okay, because the Most High is getting ready to turn these things upside down, and you women are going. Okay, you're gonna catch. It's gonna be real bad on you out here. Pretty much, the Most High is gonna open the floodgates of revenge and vengeance upon you women, and you're not gonna have anybody to fight your cause, man. 911 is going to be obsolete. The serpent is not going to uphold you and protect you. OK. All right. When this society collapses. OK. In martial law, during these famines. All right. These real government shutdowns. I'm not talking about this little stuff they playing with. OK. All of these men, they're itching. They're itching to get vengeance on you, man. OK. And then these little simp. Little punk ass, feminist men that you with, they're going to get steamrolled over because they're in your spirit. They're not ready for what's coming, In the back of the majority of these men's mind out here, they're ready to delete. I'm going to just say that they're ready to delete. Okay. Right now, they just don't want to go do a bid. Okay. But when they have the opportunity, they're going to jump on it. And if you're a captain and you're in the way, you're going to get mowed over something crucial. What? Micah 7:9. Okay, she that is mine enemy shall see it. Then shall she be trodden down as the mire of the street. You're going to be trodden down in the middle of the street. You're going to just be laid out like a piece of doo-doo on the concrete. Okay, judged from the Most High. She shall see it. She that is mine enemy. Okay, you women that have been enemies to the Israelite men. And now the Israelite men have, we're proclaiming that we're the sons of God. We're lifting up the standard and nobody wants to hear it. Okay, well, you're going to see what we're talking about. Okay. The heart of her husband doth trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. You see, she seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. Oh, I ain't going to work. I'm done working. I'm done. I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? I just need a rich man that could. Meanwhile, this broad is 250 pounds. Okay. With 6 children. The delusion is off maps, man. She's like the merchant ship. She brings her food from afar. You think about some of our grandmothers. Okay, none of our grandparents had perfect relationships, but they stayed in there and they loved one another and they enjoyed cooking. I know my grandmother, it was always a hot meal. The husband, he went to work, Okay. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. Yeah, she thinking ahead of time. All right, let me plant this garden. You know what? I have been saving up. Let me do this just in case that happened. My husband don't have to work. A true help assistant, man. Okay. And that's hey, and if you don't like this, hey, just be ready. Just be ready what's coming with you, because the Most High is getting ready to set the earth back in course, man. That's why you see these tribulations, okay, from afar. You people, you want to act like they're not coming, but these are plagues from the Most High, okay, to get things back in order. The scourges that's spoken of in Isaiah, the Most High is going to send these scourges, these judgments, these plagues, okay, to disannul these wicked, evil covenants that you people have made with darkness, man, in refuge of lies. Okay. She rises also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengthen her arms. And see, this is why it said at the top, who can find a virtuous woman? She's more precious than rubies, because it's damn near impossible. Okay, we know that really we have to wait to the kingdom. But before that, the Most High is going to get you women. He going to prime you. Okay, he going to groom you into that mindset. But a lot of you are going to be rejected. Because when all hell break loose, just naturally, you're going to shut up. Okay, and you're going to be as soft as you possibly can be, because you're going to be scared to death, man. Okay. She layeth her hands to the spindle. Her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hands to the poor. Yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She's learning how to, make clothes and, Hey, these women is yelling at you because you didn't buy her a Birkin bag and all this madness. Okay, well, why don't you make your own bag? Why don't you get on YouTube and learn how to make a jacket or some clothes or whatever, sew and stuff like that. She maketh herself coverings and tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. Yeah, you're supposed to be that dude. Okay, because the woman is a representation of you. Just like if you out in public and people can see that your woman is loose, she's walking at a distance from you, she arguing with you, she's a whore. Okay, they look at you some kind of way like, oh, this dude's a clown, which that can bring danger onto you. That can cause you, somebody to run up on you and think that it's sweet, So a woman that's in order make you look good, man. She'll actually scare off the enemies. You might have some guys, in the background watching like, damn, he must be that dude. Leave him alone. We're going to go pick on that guy over there. Okay, because how does she reverence him like that? What is it about him? And see, you women, you put your own selves in danger. Okay, because that's okay. That the man is your covering. Okay, it says she make fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and shall rejoice in the time to come. She openeth her mouth in wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. Yeah. And where would she learn that wisdom from? From her husband, from a man of wisdom. But you women don't want a man of wisdom. You want a scammer. You want a thief. You want a man that's going to talk like a rapper. You want a man that's going to talk entrepreneurship. Okay. These are not, all of this stuff is getting ready to come to naught, man. The wisdom of this world is being confounded as we speak through the mouth of the prophets. And it's only going to get worse to the point where you people are going to realize that none of these things that you trusted in or you sought after, it profited you, whether, it's riches or whatever it is, man. OK, the only ones that's getting ready to be speaking alone are the prophets. And thus saith the Lord. And if you ain't with it, you're going to get mowed down, man, because it's going to be chaotic out here. And if Yahweh Bashim Shai is not watching over you with a close eye, you're going to be uprooted, man. She looketh well, this is 27, to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Yeah, these women's house be junky. Children be all out of order. They turning the children against the parents, the father. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Yeah, many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain. You see, beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, you see that, Yahweh, she shall be praised. And this is from the mouth of a woman. I'm going to read it right here. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. You see, what, my son, and what the son of my womb, and what the son of my vows? Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. You see, because many women have destroyed kings. So this was a woman, a king's mother was trying to put him on so that he would have gain. So she was pretty much warning him, look, if she don't have these qualities, bro, leave her alone. Okay. All you soy boys out there are content with just, being some servant to a woman, man. You're not. That's a big thing in this society. Nigga think he's a real man because he got a woman. No, you're a bitch boy. Okay, you're a nigga that can be slapped in your mouth, bro. Okay, because the credentials of what marriage is today, bro, is a complete scam. This is a matriarch. This society is a queendom. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. I had more to get, but I want to get this real quick. Well, let me just get that real quick. What I was holding. This is a again. I can't remember the word. 25. Let me get this real quick. This last scripture. Okay, it's not rocket science, man. And see, the heathen, this wisdom was supposed, as being an Israelite, was supposed to be our wisdom in the sight of the nations. These other nations have always did things their own way. And that's what made us a special people, that these other nations would have to come to us to get it right. But now our people don't even want it to be right. They want to do after the way of the heathen. This is a Sirach or Ecclesiastes 25 and 25. Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad. These women are wicked. They shouldn't have liberty. But what? This society gives them liberty. And we're not talking about put chains on you and lock the door and you can't even see sunlight. We're talking about you don't need to go, a friend's night out. Okay, you don't need to wear that dress, the high heels at work. Okay, you shouldn't be free to just, these men, they'll give their daughters 16-year-old, as soon as she hits 16, give her a car. Okay, she taking trips to go blow rods, Dad, I'll be home. I'm gonna go stop and do homework at my friend's house. Meanwhile, she's at some random guy's house. 4 different dudes in 1 week. Okay. If she go not as thou would have is her, cut her off from thy flesh. Yes, it cut her off from thy flesh because you went into her and you were one through marriage. Okay, that's your woman now. That's your possession. So you got to get rid of her and give her a bill of divorce and let her go. All right. And so you women, you question, why don't men want to be? Because you're unruly. And in times past, men were totally ignorant. Okay, before the spirit of the prophets, the voice of the Lord was, because the Most High said he's going to put his spirit in the earth in the last days, not meaning that he's going to save everybody and everybody's the elect, but there's going to be a certain vibration he's going to push in the earth where men are going to start to wake up. Okay, and these prophecies are going to start to take place, and he's going to start correcting these falsities that's in the earth by judging these falsities, meaning he's going to bring plagues and judgments against them. Okay, there's going to be hell attached to, these different ideologies and belief systems. Okay, meaning that you're going to start to get the fruits you reap the fruits of going off, man. It says 24, of women came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Yeah, so you can't follow behind a woman. You can't, these men, they take counsel from their woman. Okay. You're supposed to take counsel from the Most High and his priests and his servants. 21, stumble not at the beauty of a woman and desire her not for pleasure. Okay. Nigga lose, they run out of their wits for women. It's nothing, 19, all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. See, let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. So it's not a come up that you got a woman if she's wicked. But these guys, they walk around holding hands. They act like it's the biggest achievement. Hey, a wicked woman is given to a wicked man. If you a simp clown, the Most High gonna give you a wicked woman. That's why, a lot of these women, they go for stupid men. Because to be a stupid man is wicked in the eyes of the Most High. And that's why a lot of you men are getting ready to die in these wars that's going to be out here in these streets, man. Okay. But we're getting ready to wrap it up. 23, a wicked woman abateth the courage and maketh a heavy countenance and a wounded heart. That's why all of these men are defeated in the spirit. Just look around. All of these men are effeminate. Okay, because a wicked woman obeyeth the courage. It started with their mama, their aunties, this whole matriarch, which has totally destroyed the souls of men. Okay, but hey, you men still have a responsibility. Nobody told you to be so weak, but when, of course, when you're born into it, hey, it's another story. And this is why we have to thank Yahweh Shema Shai for giving us his spirit and his truth. Okay, because there are women out there that's, okay, the Most High is getting ready to pair up his elect with the proper women. A lot of us, you just got to wait a little bit because it'll go against your soul to take on some of these women, bro. And you got to have patience, man. There's some decent women. Okay, but it just depends on you. The scriptures say if it gets to that point, go out and get go marry, go find you a woman that's decent. Okay, that don't mean just go get any woman. You find a woman that's decent to dwell with, that you could work with. Nothing wrong with that. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress and maketh weak hands and feeble knees. And that's why men are so weak today. And then you turn around and you had a woman complaining about the men. Well, it's because you're not living by the scriptures. Well, I don't believe in the Bible. That's just the book. I don't want no man that read a book. Okay, we'll just wait for the judgment. Okay, this is why things are the way they are. But see, the benefits that you women are getting now, you're going to want to turn to a righteous way and a righteous man because, okay, the Lord is getting ready to disannul that covenant you made with darkness, man. Okay. And so with that, man, we're going to wrap it up. Let me see what I was holding right here. We'll just wrap it up, man, because I had another video. But with that, peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Till next time, shalom. Got to get ready for work.